Hello, everyone. My name is LBK, and this is King Per Podcast. Now, on today's episode, we've got the IPL review for last 2 weeks. As you've seen, we have been away for last 2 weeks, and let me start off with paying our condolences to recently passed Andrew Symonds, who passed away today, aged 46. And as we remember, as someone who's been watching the game around the time he was at his peak, around the time of 2003 to 2007 8. All I can say is that he was one of the best all rounders that we have seen. We have seen all the times that he rescued his team with the bat. We have seen his fielding. One of the best moments of his fielding that I can remember is Robin Uthappa in that T20 World Cup semi-final from cover. And as far as his batting goes, even the same game where he and Matthew Hayden almost chased down a very good total against the Indian bowling lineup in that same T20 World Cup semi-final is obviously one of my best memories of him. So condolences on my part, and I hope his family and his friends are able to keep up in such tough times. I think you wanna add in, BP?
Yeah, it's a great loss to the cricketing world again, and it's been a hard year, honestly, for cricket fans, especially Australian cricket, with the passing of Symonds, Shane Warne, Rod Marsh, Dean Jones last year. So yeah, it's just sad.
That actually raises a question in my mind. I mean, obviously, as you said, you've not seen even Simons play that much. But
Mm-hmm.
from your perspective, how does it feel to be connected to someone for a long time? Right now, as you're seeing a lot of cricket, you've been seeing a lot of cricketers play for a long while. How do you feel on your part when someone who's been part of our lives goes away, and in kind of a sudden situation?
I don't really know. It's hard to explain. Just like I know I haven't seen them play that much, but it
Okay.
just still feels really sad. And I've still seen even in highlights and everything, and just the idea of someone just being gone forever is just hard to get around, hard to wrap my head around. Honestly,
Yeah, it's seriously a tough time for cricket fans all around the world right now, and we all we can do is hope that all the fans, his family, and his friends can go through this tough time.
yeah.
Okay, now moving on to the IPL. First of all, let me give you the IPL points table right now. That is, Gujarat Titans has won 10 games out of 13, and they have already qualified. They are on 20 points, and their net run rate is plus 0.391, which basically means they are qualified. And on the elimination end, Chennai Super Kings and Mumbai Indians, who are both at the bottom, have already been eliminated, which means that leaves us with 7 teams that are vying for 3 spots. Those are Lucknow Super Giants, Rajasthan Royals, Royal Challengers Bangalore, Delhi Capitals, KKR, Punjab Kings, and SRH. Now, out of these, there's KKR and there's Sunrisers Hyderabad, who are basically hanging by a thread right now, which means they not only need to win their games but also need to hope that other teams like Punjab, Bangalore, and Delhi can lose their match so that they can qualify, which is kind of a sad situation for for a team like SRH that had won last 5 matches. And talking about SRH, BP, as we have seen, Kane Williamson, who has been an integral part of SRH for a long while now, and his struggles, he's almost not been able to get going at all, as his strike rate tells, which is 92 for this season, only 150. And there's been a lot of games where they've gotten very low scores in the power play as Kin is opening. So, what have you seen in his batting till now in these 12 games where, you know, I think there's been 10 games where he has not even gotten a proper start?
Yeah, been struggling hugely this season. I think he's coming back from an elbow injury, maybe even playing through it. And I'm guessing that must be what's hampering his batting this much, because I don't remember ever seeing him struggle this badly before. Every game just waste balls in the power play and gets out. To be honest, he had like a 57 earlier in the season, but
Yes,
like
against
after
GT.
that, it's just been really poor.
Yeah, and one thing with Kane is that he is one of those guys who keeps the scoreboard ticking. I mean, kind of like Root, he also has that dap to third man, where he gets gets off a lot of his strike rotation, and even outside of that, he keeps playing his strokes and keeps getting the scoreboard running. Even though, as we know, he's not really an explosive batter, but seems like he's completely out of that continuous strike rotation for this season. There's not even been those singles that he usually gets.
Yeah, I feel like an informed Kane Williamson is just really good at pacing his innings, keeps rotating the strike, doesn't play too many dot balls, and just paces innings so he goes through and guides sort of the overall team's innings pretty well. But this year, it just plays so many dot balls, just can't isn't able to get going. Yeah, and he's dragging the team down too.
So, do you think at this point there could be another option for SRH to? I mean, they're just uh, having two more games, but can they try and maybe have someone like Aiden Markram open with Abhishek Sharma and put Kane Williamson to the number three spot, maybe where he can, come in maybe post power play or the late part play and keep being the anchor rather than getting stuck in the power play as he's getting right now.
Well, I don't think they'd want to do move him to three exactly, because then Rahul Tripathi would have to be forced down the order, and he's done pretty well this season. He's done very well actually. Like averages around 40, I believe. Strike rate on 60. They won't want to mess with him too much either. So if there is something like they're going to do, they have to either do a direct swap between Williamson and Tripathi, or Williamson and Markram, to not mess up the rest of the batting order. Yeah, I think most likely not making the playoffs now. Even if they win both their games, their net run rate's terrible. So it's pretty unlikely for them. And I guess at this point, they'll want to just think about next season, and they definitely won't drop Williamson. Like that's not going to help him. And at least with this late in the season, there's no point. Might as well just give him some confidence and try to help him get back into form. They could try switching around the batting order a little bit, as long as it doesn't mess up the balance of the team too much.
True. And one thing that has been weird with SRH's batting performance this year is that we can clearly see there's a lot of batters that have been doing well. Actually, I mean, Aiden Markram has done well. Nicholas Puran has done well. Obviously, as you said, Rahul Tripathi has done well. Even Abhishek Sharma has done well. But still, somehow they have ended up on the losing side. Even though, as we have seen, that their bowling was really good a few games ago, but now even the bowling has gotten pretty disappointing. So it has been kind of a confusing time for them because the batting seems to be doing well in bits and pieces, but there's not been much of an impact of that on the game itself.
Yeah, I think like in the first half season of the season, they won 5 matches in a row, and you could see every game was a similar template. Their bowling kept the other team to a slightly below par score, and SRH would pretty comfortably chase it down, with most of the contributions coming from the middle order and also from Abhishek Sharma. Kane Williams, especially when setting a target, I think they're starting off too weakly, too slowly, with Kane Williamson the way he's playing, and it's just putting them behind for a lot of the game. They're under pressure. Boran's still a bit inconsistent, and just on their day, they always seem to fall short. They're not able to recover from the slow starts.
Yeah, I mean, if there was a game to be pointed out, I think that RCB game kind of sums up their whole situation. to be honest, because as you saw, they actually got a great start in that game. I mean, they had Virat Kohli on the first ball itself, and even till the end, they've had RCB held up pretty strongly, but kind of let them go in that last over where Dinesh Karthik hit 25 runs, and then in the batting, they had that slow start along with Abhishek Sharma getting out and Kane Williamson getting run out on the first ball of the game itself, first ball of the innings itself. So I think that has been kind of the thing with the SRH. I mean, they seem to mess up things early on so badly that they are just held up trying to do damage control, but it ends up going nowhere because of the damage that has been done early on.
Yeah, and also looking at some of their losses, they lost to GT. This SRH batted first scored 195, yet they lost to GT. After that, against CSK, they were chasing 203. SRH was chasing 203. They still scored 189. Game after that against DC, chasing 208. SRH scored 186. So they weren't having complete batting failures. It was just that their bowling was giving too many runs away, and their batting just falling short. However, last two games they scored 125 and 123. So I think with the pressure increasing, and as they kept falling just short, last two games have been especially bad, where the whole team has just collapsed.
Yeah, and talking about the game against Bangalore, I mean, even Virat Kohli has been having a similar situation with him because, I mean, at least with Kane, we have seen a lot of things. Kane has been actually in a decent international form. It's just that he has been struggling with this whole tennis elbow injury, which has been keeping him in and out of the game. But with Virat Kohli, I think his form in international in general and even in IPL has now taken a pretty worrisome situation because he has tried everything he could. He has played, he has opened the batting, he has played one down, maybe, I don't know, maybe he'll try batting two down or three down, I don't know. He's tried to play it slow. He's tried to attack early on. He's tried everything he can, but seems like nothing is working for him.
Yeah, I don't really know what else you can do because it doesn't seem like with Kane's case is an injury. With Virat's case, I don't really know what exactly the issue is, or what he's gonna do now to try and get out of this. Just seems like somehow he's just not able to score runs. I don't really understand what to
Yeah,
do with that.
I mean, people have been talking about how maybe he is just, mentally spent right now with all the bio bubble situation and continuous games. I mean, he had taken a few breaks recently. There was a time where he missed three T20s against Sri Lanka and even the T20s against New Zealand. And but I think uh, there's nothing a break could help here because as we have seen, even after the break, he has pretty much been the same. And even talking about his ODI record in last 10 ODIs, his strike rate has fallen to 75, which is in current day and age it is really low, especially given that most of the ODIs are actually played on absolute flat tracks where 280 290 is a casual score right now, except obviously that West Indies series, which was pretty average scoring. So I mean, what can what is Virat Kohli's options right now? I mean, do we see him going back to domestic? Do we see? I mean, do we even see him getting dropped in any situation? Or, do, I mean, what is the resolution here?
Yeah, it's just weird. Like there's no obvious weakness in his game. Like he's not getting out to a certain type of bowling over and over again. So it does just seems like he's very low on confidence. it just somehow he's not able to find a way to just get going, get a big score. Uh, I don't really even know who what's the best course of action for him to take now. There's been a lot of people talking about it, and I think and it's just up to him. He has to figure out what's going wrong and what he needs to do to get himself into the best mental space to play.
Yeah, obviously, since there's a lot of talk around the whole mental health situation and bio bubbles and long schedules even after the IPL. India is supposed to playing 5 T20s against South Africa, which he'll probably miss, and probably straight away play the test against England in Manchester. But as I just pointed out, that he has taken a few breaks here and there, even although they have not been that long. So, I mean, if this keeps on uh, from a personal perspective or wherever you see it, how long do you think this can run before there's someone wants to put their foot down? Where because obviously you cannot have someone playing that slow, especially in T20s or ODIs. I mean, uh, the strike rate has been very bad, and even in tests, there's not much of an output on his end. It has mostly been 30s and 40s. So, where can we see the foot being put down as far as dropping him goes?
Uh, yeah, I can't really see. It's hard to see him being dropped from the team just because of who he is, especially not from IPL. He'll only be dropped from IPL if he wants to be dropped. And even at internationals, I think they're gonna leave it up to him. I think if he at one point decides it'll be his own decision if he thinks he's not able to do it anymore. It's hard to see him being forced out of the team.
True. And another team that has been declining and pretty much out of the contention for qualifications is CSK. And in CSK's case, it has been kind of weird in the recent games because once they won a few games early on, they won against RCB and Mumbai. It looked like they are slowly getting into the groove, but in last few games they have fallen back again. I mean, they lost against RCB, they lost against Mumbai, and today they lost to Gujarat Titans. So even after that new assembled team, which they did not have Deepak Chahar or Adam Milne and some other guys, they had been starting to do well. What do you see has gone wrong with them in last, let's say, 5 or 6 games where they have all only been able to win 2 games?
Yeah, the team's just not that strong overall. They found they found some wins in the middle once they brought Devin Conway in. Their opening partnership started to do better. Gaikwad found some form. Mukesh Chaudhary, he's improved a lot this year. He's done pretty well recently. So a few things started clicking for them, which is why they won a few games. But then at the same time, Jadeja got injured and he's gone. That's a huge loss, even if he wasn't in the greatest form of his life. And it's just the team's not really that great overall. Especially now the middle order is not that great. Finishing's not that great. Even and especially if the openers fail, then it seems like the team's pretty much gone. It just
Yeah.
collapses.
And I mean, there's one thing dwindling around here is how Dhoni is almost 41. There's Bravo who is almost 40. So what do you think is the future of this team? Because seems like their whole middle order is moving to an age where you do not want every one of your middle order bat to be that old. I mean, obviously, it is good to have experience in your batting, but if everyone is that old, I think that might affect their performances. So, what are the changes do that you see happening for the next year in the team? Obviously, there's a Deepak Chahar and Adam Milne being back, but do you see anyone from the current squad going out or maybe being released here?
Yeah. So, anyways, about their team being old, it feels like we've been saying that for so many years, and somehow they're still going. Even won the title last year. But anyways, well, I don't know what's going on with Raidu. He did tweet yesterday that he was retiring, and then deleted it in half an hour, and then he didn't play in the match against GT. So I'm not sure with him. It does seem like it might be his last season, though. Dhoni, I feel like he might play another year, especially since he's been a lot better this year. Overall, I don't think there'll be huge changes other than Raidu. And yeah, they'll definitely be hoping to find a good replacement middle order batsman or a good overseas all rounder.
Yeah, because they have good openers, and obviously once Chahar comes back, he'll probably be their opening bowler and probably bat at number 8, I assume. But seems like there's a lot of vacancies in that middle order, and to some extent in that lower order as well. Obviously, you cannot expect at this point for Dhoni to continue for a long time. Maybe he'll play another season, maybe two, but I do not see him going further than that. So, who do you think would they wanna get for their future middle order? I mean, there's a lot of options available. There's even guys who go unsold. I mean, there's someone like Jason Roy who can probably open for you, although he's not exactly the guy who you want in the middle order. But there's a lot of options available. There was some chatter around even Steve Smith, who can be brought in as the anchor. I mean, there's a lot of options available. Do you see anyone that can be brought in here?
Well, they have Gaikwad Conway opening, and I think that's pretty good. I don't think it'll change that. For the middle order, they'll have Moeen Ali, Shivam Dubey, and then finishing Jadeja and Tony. I think they'll want a good and one more middle order batsman. I'm not sure who they'll take. They'll probably keep their faith in Moeen Ali next year. I think he hasn't had the greatest season, but I think they'll give him another year. So
Yeah.
they hopefully want like some solid middle order batsman for the middle order. Yeah, for the middle order. I don't. They might not go for an overseas one because then that's one less slot. If Conway, Moeen Ali, Bravo are all already the overseas slots, and probably one more bowler. So they'd probably have to take another Indian batsman. If they took someone like Steve Smith, they'd have to drop Moeen Ali. So yeah, they'll look for someone Indian, I'm sure.
Okay. And of course, obviously, you cannot keep cramming in more overseas players. Obviously, since there's only 4 spots available, but maybe two names that will probably get their attention if they get into the auction or if they are available next year are Ben Stokes and Sam Curran. So, do you see any situation where maybe they can be pulled in? So maybe to have someone available in case there's no Moeen Ali or Dwayne Bravo. In that case,
Yeah, Ben Stokes. I'm not sure about him because he's generally like at his best when he's played in the top order. They don't have many top order vacancies. I guess they could probably put him at 3 and move Moeen Ali and Dubé down, but Sam Curran, I'm sure they'll probably go for, considering he's been playing there for a year or two. And yeah, they might have they play him and Bravo together, or if Bravo is finishing, retiring, they might replace him. But yeah, they had to think of their death bowling too. And Sam Curran's not exactly a death bowler. He bowls mostly in the power play, and if they already have Deepak Chahar and Mukesh Chaudhary, they don't have many. They already have better power play options, so I'm not sure exactly how well he would fit into their lineup.
moving on. Obviously, this is the business end of the IPL, which means we'll see a lot of teams being eliminated, given that these are last one or two games that are left for most of the teams. Obviously, Gujarat have qualified, CSK and MI are out. So, from your end, what are the two teams that you see qualifying here?
Yeah, so Gujarat's already in. Lucknow should be in too. I'm sure they'll get in. Uh, I think Rajasthan will make it. They'll probably, if they win one of the last two games, they should get in, and I'm pretty sure they will. The interesting one is the last spot, where I'm not really sure. I feel like if RCB loses their last game, then they're out pretty much. I think the winner of Delhi versus Punjab, I think the winner of that's who I'm going to be expecting to get in.
Yeah, because one thing that comes down to here is being a bit consistent and keep winning your games, especially since Rajasthan has lost their track recently and they have lost multiple games, and seems like even Butler's magic that we have been witnessing throughout the early phase is kind of fading. So, do you still think they hold the perfect chance to qualify here, because they need to win at least one game out of two, and even the game that is going on right now, they do not seem to be in that great of a situation right now.
They're doing pretty well right now, actually.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll win one out of two. Although, yeah, but Butler has sort of lost the form that he was carrying for the first half of the IPL, where he was just hitting, seemed like to be hitting centuries every game. Hasn't made as many runs the last few matches, and so they'll be hoping for him to get back into that form going into the playoffs, business end of the tournament.
And even see, if you see the remaining teams here, that's RCB, TC, KKR, Punjab, and even Hyderabad. Uh, Probably you'll probably at this point get Hyderabad out, because they, they seem like they have fallen quite a far bit. There's a lot of players that have been out of form, and it seems like they are in a pretty bad shape. But looking at Punjab, Delhi, and KKR, I think even RCB, they are all kind of on the same boat here. Who they have been inconsistent. They have found a bunch of players who have been doing well for them, but outside that, seems like most of their team isn't not performing that consistently. So, who do you see is that one team that you can see rising to the occasion right now? Because as far as KKR and Delhi go, oh sorry, KKR and uh, SRH go, they have to win both of their games. Sorry, SRH has to win both of their game, and KKR has to win the remaining game, while everyone else at least has the cushion of being able to lose the game and maybe then qualify on the net run rate, as the situation is for RCB, since even the net run rate is quite low right now. So, whom do you see coming up on this occasion?
Yeah, SRH just has such a terrible net run rate that even if they get to 14 points, there's no way they're making it in. So I'm not going to consider them.
Yeah.
KKR at least has a good net run rate. If they get to 14 points, if a few other results go their way, they have a chance, but that's still pretty unlikely. And Punjab, Delhi, RCB are the ones that I think are the main contenders to make it into playoffs. All three of them can get to eight wins still, 16 points. RCB's net run rate is terrible. They're going to lose if it comes down to net run rate to either the other two teams. Yeah, the Delhi Capitals versus Punjab Kings game is going to be extremely important. I think the winner of that is the team that's most likely going to go through. If they win the last game, definitely through. Otherwise, it depends on the results. But between those two teams, I've liked Punjab's team recently, especially since they've moved Johnny Bairstow to opening. He was struggling a lot in the middle order, but now when he's playing the power play, he's just smacking the ball everywhere. And yeah, I feel like of the all the teams remaining, I feel like Punjab might make it through to the playoffs.
Yeah, and Punjab is probably the most interesting team out of all of these because the team has looked really great at some occasions. They have their death bowling and uh, top order bats who can really do well, like Johnny Bairstow, there's Shikhar Dhawan, there's Mayank Agrawal, and Liam Livingston, who can all be pretty explosive, and there's bowlers who have been doing really well. But still, somehow they have ended up in a lot of games where their bowling or batting somehow failed. So I think this Punjab team is kind of that unpredictable team out of all the available options, because obviously as far as Bangalore or DC or even KKR goes, I think we know who are the guys doing job for them. But I think it is the Punjab team that has the most guys being in form for them, as we have seen, as you talked about Johnny Bairstow doing well. Shikhar Dhawan has been slow, but he has anchored well. Liam Livingston has done well. Obviously, Arshdeep Singh and Ravada have done well in the bowling. Even Harpreet Brar has done well. So I think this team can be the dark horse this time. Do you think there's a chance for them to maybe outs all the team and maybe take the title this time?
Yeah, I mean, there's no like Gujarat Titans is like well above the rest of the team of the table still, 10 wins, but even they don't seem infallible. Like I can still see them losing some games. If Punjab gets to the number 4 spot, end up playing the eliminator with RR, I don't see any reason, especially on RR's recent performances, that Punjab can't beat them. And it's just once you get into that stage of like the last few games, these teams are too closely matched for you to take anything for granted. Anyone can win from there. Like it's just so unpredictable, especially with Punjab, the most unpredictable team.
To end this all, I just want to ask one thing. How surprised are you to see Gujarat and Lucknow at the top after all that was talked about them before the tournament began?
I mean, I expected Lucknow to be the top. Gujarat, on the other hand, I was not expecting them to do this well. I thought they would be like one of the worst teams, but they're very clearly number one by some distance. Yeah, I get it. It's just their bowling's performed even after dropping Lucky Ferguson. Shami's been brilliant in the power play, and with Rashid Khan obviously in the middle overs. I thought they might falter after Hardik Pandya's injury, and now he's not even bowling, but they still kept up. They kept on winning. In their batting, especially since Saha's come in, it's made a huge difference because he's been brilliant at the top opening. Finishers doing great with Miller and Rahul Tewatia. So yeah, it just seems like they give full team performances. You can't say they've been carried by anyone on the team. Everything just clicks together well.
Okay, so that ends the coverage for us today. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye.
Should I finish recording?
Yes.